This video is all about maximizing interruptions. Maximizing interruptions? Yeah. You know you're going to get interrupted. The phone's going to ring, the instant message is going to pop up, someone's going to come over, tap you on the shoulder and say, do you have a minute? So what I want you to do for the next week or so is to get ready for the interruptions you're going to experience. A couple of PDFs to download along with this tip. The first one is going to be this here. It's just a sheet called Productivity Enhancement Maximize Interruptions. And essentially it gives a little bit of research from a company that went out and studied interruptions in the workplace. They interviewed 1,000 senior managers, and what they found was that on average we're losing about 2 hours a day, 120 minutes a day of productive time due to the interruptions. One thing that I especially appreciate about the sheet that I'm going to give you is I found this chart here of the kinds of interruptions that we all experience. And so you can take a look at that. The second piece of this is going to be what we call the agendas tool. And I'll just take a look at that right there. It's got, on the left-hand side, it's got names, and on the right-hand side, it's got things to discuss. What I'll encourage you to do for the next week or so is to keep a piece of paper nearby, maybe a 3x5 note card, maybe a sheet of paper, for each person that you work with regularly. The one that you think could come over and interrupt you. That could be a boss, colleague, could be a direct report, could be a vendor or a client. You're going to pick up the phone, you're going to turn around, and they're going to be there. They're going to ask you probably one thing. What I'm going to ask you to do is to start keeping a running inventory of what it is you need to ask them for. And then the opportunity here is, instead of me interrupting them when I need one thing, is I'm going to build a little list, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 things. I'll tell you, the one client that I did this with that we had the best experience, before I got in, he did a little bit of tracking. This was up in Berkeley, California. And over 2 days, before I worked with him, over 2 days, one person on his staff interrupted him 27 times. One-off things. Where is this? Do you know about that? Can you help me with this? What do you think about that? And over 2 days, those 27 interruptions, well, you could probably imagine they sucked away a little bit of his productivity. So we implemented this tip, the agendas tool. And what he did is he went into Microsoft Outlook. Those of you using Outlook, there's a way that you can make a task be somebody's name. And then the notes area down below, that's where you just start to collect what it is that you need to talk about. So he did that. Meanwhile, his assistant, she just had a 3x5 Post-it, the long Post-its. She put that on her computer monitor, and what she would do is every time she thought of something to tell him, she pulled out the Post-it, she'd write it down there, put it back on the computer monitor, and they went to a 2-meeting per day schedule, 10:30 to 3:30. So in the morning, up until about 10:30 or so, she would write down what she needed to ask him, give him, or tell him, and he would do the same. They would meet at 10:30, it'd be 10 to 20 minute meeting. They would meet again at 3:30, be a 10 to 20 minute meeting. So they went from 13 and a half interruptions a day to 2 planned meetings. Now the little caveat here, if there is an emergency, don't put it on a list and wait for 3 hours. Go interrupt that person or make yourself be available to be interrupted. So those are the 2 sheets. I'm going to ask you to work on that for the next week or so, and I'll talk to you soon.